Everybody, thanks for joining us for the Lightning Node Roundtable number 7. This is actually kind of a special edition of the Lightning Node Roundtable because we've got a lot of participants here from the Lightning Hacksprint weekend. And I unfortunately did not get to partake in this, but it sounded absolutely amazing. And we've got a lot of guests here, so everybody, as they come in, is going to introduce themselves. But we're going to start off by kicking it off with Rutzal, who's going to, kind of just take us through, a bit what happened this weekend and what was done, and then we can get to some Q&A and some general conversation.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just watching if the live stream is running. I think we posted some pictures from before. I hope we are right now, correct in there. So, okay. The idea of the Hacksprint was normally we wanted to do the Hack Day Barcelona. This was this great thing we wanted to get into, but then the situation with Corona was happening, and we're seeing, okay, we cannot meet in person here. So so the idea was what to do, and then we're saying, come on, let's start fresh, a little bit smaller, and we were thinking about doing the Hack Sprint. So just a kind of meetup of all the projects that are out there and helping a bit out to get everything starting in an online situation. And was quite nice. A lot of projects joined and were saying like, yeah, sure, let's do this. They were looking at their GitHubs and labeling some issues for the hackathon, and we got quite a list now in the end. That's quite amazing, and a lot of people joined. I think maybe Jeff can tell a little bit more on that, how many people and kind of the outside of this event. So. And we just said, let's go for the weekend. And we did 2 days. Yesterday was Saturday. We started with a kickoff, and then people joined the MetaMost, our chat platform. That's kind of an open Slack, and then find together in single rooms around the projects and start kind of exchanging on their projects, what's to do and what's still to fix to improve on this project, or even come together with new ideas about the project. And we had Jitsi rooms where people can just make video calls very spontaneously and coordinate. So this gives you a little bit of this person feeling back again, maybe. And also we had self-organized sessions. So people had a place on the wiki to just add what they like to talk about, and even made live streams, talks, and discussion groups. So it ended up in a quite well situation. So if Jeff likes to add anything to that, for sure, that would be great.
Yeah, thanks. Well, first of all, it's still a bit sad that we had to cancel the Hack Day in Barcelona. I mean, hopefully just postpone it, but probably postpone it to next year. So I hope everybody in Spain, Polis Parvalela, and all the people who wanted to support us there are actually doing okay, and they're holding up all right. I mean, we were kind of struggling with not doing it, but just 3 weeks ago, it seemed like we could actually still do it, but then like reality happened, and we kind of had to adjust to new situation. And I think we were also a bit hesitant because the original intention that we had when we started the Lightning Hack Days was to get everybody off the keyboard or off of their screen and just bring everybody together a bit to actually meet and mingle and exchange ideas in person, because that's really hard to create this energy and that you can feel in person if you meet somebody. I mean, how this goes. Most of you have been there. So I'm pretty happy it worked out quite well, the Hack Sprint. And we had a larger focus on already existing projects, but as we will learn tonight, there was also some new projects. So I'm pretty happy with the way it went. Already, thank you everybody for contributing and for setting it up. Christian Rutzal did an amazing job, like running everybody up, and we also had a lot of help with infrastructure, and pretty much the whole Lightning world united once again to get everybody together. And I really hope we can do this again, hopefully very soon. That was the only feedback I got. But what we will do again is something we will talk about in the next minutes and possibly hours. So stay tuned, and I'm also excited to learn a bit more about some of the projects, because I mean, I was looking at all the projects a bit, but never really got into any details. And some people just didn't talk much, but were actually coding. So here we go.
Now, very cool. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So I think what we should do is maybe we could talk a little bit about the projects, because I'm definitely interested to know what what you guys came up with. So I've seen, obviously, we've had in the past, we've seen some really cool invoice terminals, and stuff like that. And, the ability to, obviously there's the Raspberry Blitz and all the amazing things we can do with that. So what are some of the projects that came out of this? If I don't know, Christian Rutzall, if you want to just
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
I tried to go through the list on the wiki because quite a lot of projects, and I have to be careful here not to leave anybody out or something like that. So look, let's start with it. Sure, we have at the first project, of course, there's the Raspberry Blitz, but I don't want to talk too much about it because I'm the lead developer, and so the most of the things we did also was a little bit use the time with the team to get together and to plan some further steps, discuss some issues, but also helping a lot of other kind of projects to get their thing on the Raspberry Blitz going, because a lot of projects are now related to the Raspberry Blitz because you can install this like RTL or the Allen bits or the Spectre desktop. So a lot of stuff there that's connecting projects. So that was a lot of stuff we did there. We prepared some people's Raspberry Blitzes in the process, because that's always the support we do. We planned a little bit reviving a BlitzD feature, so like having more like a little server written that can help on presenting maybe in a browser setup situation some stuff better. We were testing a better way to detect public IP for the outside, so that we get rid of some services that we think can be more decentralized. And one funny thing what we really tried out, what I really enjoyed, is the work with Fusion 44, for example. He's writing the Send Many app. So it's one of these an Android app that you can connect with the Raspberry Blitz, and you can use the key send feature from LND. The key send allows you to send data over the Lightning networks and exchanging chat messages, or for example with other nodes. And we made it possible to connect our Send Many app with the Raspberry Blitzes and writing through the Send Many app, like over the Lightning network, exchanging chat messages from our mobile phones. So that was quite a nice experience there. We think OpenOMS was there, MZ was there, Fusion 44, and me kind of doing chat tests. So this was quite a good takeaway there from the Raspberry Blitz side. Maybe before I continue to another project, any questions there on the Raspberry Blitz quickly before we continue to the other projects?
Yeah, I'd like to throw in a question just about the you were discussing. I think I saw a tweet from OpenOMS about CoinJoin on the 1.5 release candidate.
OpenOMS, do you like to jump in there?
Yes, so we have implemented Join Market for the 1.5, which is now on the release candidate. Image is out already. It's basically an install feature. So as usual with other services, you can install Join Market from the services menu, which is set itself up, and we try to automate as many things as possible to make it easy to use. And there is a related guide as well, which is pointing to like one of the guides which has been going for a while to support the setup of Join Market and Raspberry Blitz. So what we'll have is a command line for now and a good guide to support using it, and then we will continue to implement it into the GUI and try to help as much as possible. But the main thing is that you have full node running, and now you can use join market connected to it and running on it. But that wasn't the focus of this weekend, because obviously this was a Lightning Hacksprint. So, and we trying to keep away from the chain.
Yeah, no, I know, but that was kind of a. I saw that tweet, and then it kind of became a bit of a listener question, because somebody was talking about the fact that CoinJoin isn't really integrated into things, and when that's coming, and it's just kind of serendipitous that I happened to see that come up the next day.
Yes, sure. I mean, April 4th of April was the non-official CoinJoin day as well. So I think that's why that kind of topic and tweet blew up a little as well. Very
cool.
important.
Absolutely, privacy. I actually do have another question. Is there, in the 1.5, is there any update to the LCD functionality, the touchscreen functionality? Because in the 1.4, you guys really expanded, on the touchscreen capability, and we have the ability to create the what's it called? The invoices, to be able to use it also an invoice terminal. So any other touchscreen functionality?
On that one, I have to say the 1.5 was a quick release. Normally we planned more for the 1.5, so there was no kind of further features on the touchscreen there. But this was one thing we discussed during this Hacksprint, that this is a situation where we want to go forward and allow in future format status screens and stuff. But it's still something to come up in the future version. So on the 1.5, no further touchscreen functionality, I have to say, but it's coming.
Cool. Very, very cool. All right, so let's dive into one of the projects from the Hack Day. What do we got? What did you add on to the Raspy Blitz?
No, not the Raspy Blitz. It's about.
Okay, sorry, not the
Raspy. Yeah, it's about the Lightning ATM, the do-it-yourself Lightning ATM from 21 is enough.
Cool.
He asked me to report a little bit on it because he's not available at this time. So what I heard, what they were working on. So just in case, it's a do-it-yourself ATM. So a little box where you can put coins in, and it gives you kind of Satoshis back for it. So it's a do-it-yourself ATM for coins and gives you Satoshis. And it's a beautiful box, beautiful designed. And they, as far as I can read from the outcomes, they removed some dependencies, Pi, CoinGecko, some specifics here. So I think this is always good to remove dependencies to get this cleaning code up. They made better wallet management on the ATM. So for the person kind of maintaining the ATM, that seems to be improvements there. They tried some code snippets to try another touchscreen thing, because I think before they just had e-paper there, and now they're experimenting a little bit more with little LCDs and touchscreens. So, and they're working on that one. So this is the kind of things there. Names that I'm reading here is Talon Pierre and Mr. Rostecki. So there are people who come together around the project. That's quite nice. That's exactly what we wanted to do with the Hacksprint. So some progress there. And I will jump to another project that's maybe in the here in the call. Let's see. So do we have somebody here? Let's see who's still in the call. We have Umo Campbell, who's here. Sergi, can you tell us a little bit your project and what your outcomes and things were?
Sure. So we were working on Watchhours, the implementation we open source recently called the Satoshi, which was supposed to be, well, which is actually a Vault 13 compliant Watchtower. And the idea was to work a little bit on the integration with other clients. So for example, C-Lightning was working on a hook for the last week. So you could retrieve the commitment transaction information and penalty transaction information in order to send all that to the Watchtower. And it turned out that was way more advanced than I thought. So we were able to start playing around with the plugin system to to like integrate the tower with C-Lightning. We also had some people working on Docker, so creating a Docker image for the tower to ease the deployment of it. So basically, you can just like one click or one command run the tower on your machine. And what else? There was some people also working on deleting information from the tower on user request. So the idea right now was that the user was able to like send all the information, all the appointments to the tower, and the tower was like keeping track of everything. And then if like the tower saw a breach, then it would react and like manage all the workflow by itself, right? But there was like no deletion from the user. And that's something that we wanted to add for the first release. So there was also some people working on that. I have to say it has come like quite nicely, because we had like people working on like half of the issues we opened. It was like way more than we thought at the beginning. So I'm like really happy of. I'm really happy with like the results of this.
That's really cool, by the way. Thank you very much. I haven't really heard much about the watchtowers recently, so that's a really cool development that you guys are trying to do.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I have to say that that's like one of the things that we also thought when we were working on this, right? I had a talk yesterday too about this, like trying to raise a little bit of awareness. Because as I was saying yesterday, they haven't been like that much going on towers for the last, I don't know, like maybe half a year or so. Since like the first big release from LND, we haven't heard that much about it. But we think it's a really important thing to have there. So we've been like also trying to push it a little bit.
So I just want to make sure if I understand correctly, though, because you're building this, you have somebody doing building a Docker for this. So would we expect that this would be something that would be included with the image of a Lightning node, or specifically for the invoice terminal? Sorry.
No, the idea of this is like to be completely decoupled of any other kind of node, so you can run a tower without having to like run a full Lightning node by yourself. Because at the end of the day, you don't need like much. You don't need like most of the node capabilities in order to like watch for channel breaches. So with like Bitcoin D and a little bit more, you can actually do this. So the whole point of it was to like. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to say that the whole point of this was to like offer a tower service that can like be accessed by like any kind of node. It doesn't matter what implementation you're running. So you want to like bag your data in a tower, then you can.
Okay, I'm super excited because, like I said, I think watchtowers, to your point, is incredibly important. I actually, obviously, I think it contributes to the stability of Lightning, and not only that, but I'm trying to find the right word to use, but even the security of using Lightning. So greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Okay, Rootsal, who do we got next? Or talking about the project that they worked on.
Okay, let me try to scratch the list here a little bit. So I see the Allen Bits and the Quickening here, like two projects that Ben is kind of working on, or at least mentoring. So I don't know, Ben, are you there? I saw you on the list here in the chat.
Yeah, hi man. So we made it. There was some confusion over the stream. We made a competing stream, so we had like a whole bunch of your audience on another stream for a good 10 minutes, and we actually had a demo. We'll have to get the game, the first-person shooter, because we demoed that because he was in the wrong stream. So sorry about that. But yeah, no, LM Bits and the Quickening. I haven't really done much with them over the weekend, to be honest, because I've been busy just interviewing all the fantastic people involved in the Hacksprint. So we had some great interviews and some real good chats. So I didn't really get much time to actually do any hacking, but that's always the same in any Lightning Hack Day. I have all these like this ambition that I'm going to sit down and be very productive, and you just can't because there's so many interesting people around you. And I can't because I can't multitask anyway. So yeah, not really much movement on those. I mean, Enico, he did a new extension, I think. So he's claimed one of the bounties. So there are still 2 bounties for 0.03 BTC to make an extension for LM Bits. So if you're interested in doing that, then hit me up on Twitter. We did I did do some work last night after the first hack day just on LM Bits itself, getting it ready for the new release. So hopefully by the end of the week, we'll have a version 0.1. And it's got an updated GUI, updated a framework, and we've refactored the back end. Well, Enico's refactored the back end, so it's no longer spaghetti code. So a little bit more functional. So looking forward to that being released. And I did see some stuff on the quickening. There were some people making using the M5 stack sats and playing around with those. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, no, from that, I want to have a like Groundhog Day where I can like re-experience the whole thing, as you know, and actually visit those channels and contribute, and then maybe do it again and visit some other channels and have a look at what they're doing. So such fascinating. Everyone's working on such fascinating projects. But sadly, you know, it's a one-time thing. Although in saying that, the Mattermost I hear is going to be running for a little while, so maybe I can hop in some of those channels and read through what people are getting up to over the weekend.
Yeah,
so a lot of fun.
I was chatting with the people working on the quickening shortly, and they said they're working, for example, try to work on the calculator thing so that you can use it in a bar. So you have to think you have 4 beers, for example, like 350 and whatever, like, and the bar staff can just, because it looks already like a calculator, you just point in like 3 times 450. It gives you kind of the euro amount, and then you say pay it, and then it gives you the lightning invoice. So I heard at least this was working on. It was not finished. So, but the person working on that was saying like, yeah, I will work on that, continue on that, and let you know when it's ready. So I'm really looking forward to that.
That's cool.
And as I was seeing, somebody was also sending me a video. I don't want to tell now.
Yeah.
Names, but
I already called him out on Twitter, so it was content. Yeah, he did a great job.
but really, it was nice because there was always a question for this little point of sale when somebody was kind of paying a lightning invoice, and the bar staff normally turns away doing other things. So there needed to be a sound that gives you confirmation, and somebody really programmed kind of music thing there. So it was giving you a little melody, even like to let you know.
That's the benefit of building your own point of sale system, is you can work those. I mean, if you look at legacy point of sale systems, they don't calculate and they don't make noises, which is kind of like, I was just like, let's just try and make what that thing can do, but do a lightning version of it. But then, you know, that device has the flexibility to do a whole bunch of other things like make noises and do calculations as well. And not issue refunds. You could issue a refund through an LN URL on the screen, which is something I'm quite keen at looking at some point. So yeah, no, it's great. It was great. I was so happy to get that video from Conta yesterday evening. It made my day.
Yeah, it was really nice to see. So it's a little bit sad. I don't see him around here. So otherwise I would. So if you're here in the chat room, step forward. But I don't see the name here, so I don't think.
I'm thinking about. I mean, I think I might make put him on the GitHub. If he doesn't mind, I might get him to become an administrator on the GitHub for it. So I need to. I just need a few extra people to muck in, like, look, because I've got so many repos now. I get lost in them. So I need some people just to check over the issues, and also he does a lot of like workshops and things based on things like the quickening. So it's cool to have his input.
Yeah. Any questions about the quickening or the PO or the Olympics out there? So now's the point. No. Okay, should I continue to the next project? Like go through the list?
Oh yeah.
One up? Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So let's see, what do we have here? We were seeing some work on the Spectre desktop. So just to give you a background on the Spectre desktop, Kim, are you in the room? Not sure. Let's see. I don't see. So let me give you a wrap up. The do-it-yourself Spectre wallet is what Stefan Signerev is working on, and Kim. It's a do-it-yourself build your own wallet, hardware wallet, and because a hardware wallet needs a good software part also, they're working on Spectre Desktop. And Spectre Desktop is not just limited to their hardware wallet; it also supports Coldcard and Trezor and Ledger. And so you can make multi-sig setups with those. The Ledger, the Spectre desktop is part of the new Raspberry Blitz release, the 1.5. So there's a release candidate out, the final version, hopefully coming up next kind of weeks. And the idea of the Hacksprint was to test this out, and some people did test it out with Ledger wallets. I saw a report with Trezor. So basically, I heard it works, but there's something that could be nicer, of course. Some things. So it's basic. The basic functionality seems to be good. And together with Kim, we were looking into still an install issue that were on the Raspberry Blitz that seems to be fixed. So we give this then into more testing. I think there will be a release candidate too after this weekend, so that people can test it further and maybe confirm that it's now okay. And yeah, so the Spectre desktop coming to the Raspberry Blitz, looking very good, and is kind of confirmed on this Hacksprint. Did you heard, Konikoris, did you heard about the Spectre desktop at all before?
Nope. I was just gonna say this sounds amazing. So I'm super excited to install it. I've been building my own little 3D Lightning case. So I plan on putting the 1.5 inside of it. And I don't know if you guys can see, but this is one of the demos of it.
None at the moment. We just yeah, there you come. Okay.
There we go. This is the beginning
nice.
of it. Yeah, not bad. I know some people they like it a little bit smaller, but for me, I decided to go with this.
Nice.
Anyways, yeah, it's one of the revs. Hopefully, I'll have something to show very soon. But yes, I'm excited to install the 1.5 on that.
Nice.
So I haven't heard of Spectre. I haven't heard of Spectre desktop.
Oh yeah, give it a try.
So, but is it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's an actual desktop app?
Yeah, it's something then you call in your browser, like you do with the RTL app. So it's a little bit the same thing. You call it then on your browser, okay. and then it gives you a control interface where you can do the setups of the wallets and so something to we have to figure out if all the details are working still. So, but at least the first tests from the Hacksprint looking good, and looking forward to see feedback on that on the release candidate too. Then when it comes out.
Cool. I'm looking forward to installing it.
Okay. Okay. Let us go to the list because there's still something to go. Also, somebody asked me to report is on the Tor to IP tunnel service. MZ was taking a look, and I think also OpenOMS can give us a little bit more background soon. But just to give you the basic idea, a lot of nodes, like even the Staticus was mentioning this on the Lightning conference again. Excuse me. That a lot of nodes would like to have a possibility to run behind Tor, because that's an easy setup for people to do at home. You don't have to configure stuff and on the net stuff. But sometimes there are situations where you need a public IP. And to make it easy, it would be great if there would be a Tor to IP bridge would be available. Some service that could be around that you can use. Either there's somebody setting this up and you use it and pay it with some Lightning Satoshis, or it's a very easy thing to set up yourself on a server. And this was something MZ was starting to look in and found a way to use SoCat, so a tool on Unix or Linux, to make this port forwarding on a server, and from there on, other people were picking up and trying stuff out. Kim, I think he's not here, was trying to prepare kind of a management web front end for that, and I think OpenOMS did also some tutorial on how to do your own VPS. I think OpenOMS, if you can give us a little bit details there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So indeed, MZ was coming up with the core of this idea, which is to introduce us to this SoCat tool and the syntax of it to use. But then from there, we already had this remote reverse SSH tunnel setup, which is inbuilt in the Raspberry Blitz, but I had a manual guide for it as well. And then on that route, I've basically done a quick guide how to set up this Tor to IP tunnel service on a virtual private server, which we have a couple of like Lightning payable options as well, like the host4coins.net or the BitCloud's SH, which is reachable over even LNT TX bot. So the point will be that now this setup can be tested and we see how reliable it is. And then in the future, we might be able to do a scripted version, which can be called from the Raspberry. And then you would just basically register for a server on one of these services, pay it with Lightning privately, and then would be able to use a public IP, which you can either couple to your Lightning node. So your Lightning node behind Tor would have a gate to the ClearNet, which other nodes from the ClearNet can connect to. And also you will be able to plug this. You can use it with other ports like the REST or the gRPC API ports. So you could plug this ClearNet IP address into a BTC Pay server instance, or you could pair your mobile wallets like Zeus or Zap. So it gives a lot of possibilities without hurting any of the privacy, with a small fee of having a VPS subscription.
Wow, that definitely doesn't sound like it's for the standard user though. I feel like I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit more advanced.
Well, if you want to keep your nodes private and running behind Tor, then you either do some wizardry with your router and like a remote SSH tunnel and things like that. This is actually sounds complicated, but it is actually much less difficult to set up. So we can link to this guide, and you will see that it hardly takes an A4 page and just a couple of lines of code. So I really recommend to look into it, and then once we demonstrate of its usage, I think it will be quite widespread soon. I hope.
Very cool.
Yeah, I really hope it will get in the. This is a very early stage of this, so we have really to now to experiment with this, see where the performance limits are, and but if it's running then fine on a technical level, we have to see how we can package it in a good way to make it easy for everybody who has a node to use it, and to think the nodes have very much interest to make it very easy for you to make that happen, and to have it also to get it to I click it and I use it situation a bit more. So. Let's hope for that in the future. But at the moment, it's a technical prototype.
No, it's very nice, and it's definitely very much needed.
For example, where it's nice when in Room 77, for example, we use the point of sale, the M5 stack, and this device cannot talk Tor. There's an ESP32 in there that's not able to at least I haven't seen a Tor library for that, and I would kind of wonder if I see one. So for this kind of devices, it would be great to have have such a bridge to IP, and then the node itself can run behind Tor and communicate to the outside. So at least for such situations, it's a good solution. I think we'll have very, very soon.
You know what? I never Wiresharked the data between the node and the M5 stack. That's a good point. I didn't think of that. I was like, that's true. I've never seen a Tor library for it, but yeah, maybe I'm sure that will come, because you know what? People are getting more and more fascinated with the microcontrollers and how easy they are to work with,
Yeah, the good thing, at least with the M5 stack, is there's just an invoice macaroon there and a read macaroon, so you cannot at least have no admin macaroon in there. So nobody, even if somebody finds a way to see something or whatever, like, you can at least not run away with your funds. So that's at least a good thing to know.
Yeah.
You mentioned that there is no Tor library for doing that, but my question here is that the solution you made for exposing the Lightning nodes with public IP, did you make it like specially only for Lightning, or I don't know, or your solution might be used for general for exposing hidden services or like anything behind Tor? Because I was wondering, because having some general solution like for every kind of like API or service you expose on support would be useful, I think.
Yeah, to just get quickly back on that. So at the moment, the basic thing is just the forwarding of traffic, of IP traffic. So at the moment, you can expose any kind of service to that. Depends, maybe some services have special needs. So, but basically, you can expose the hidden services with that. But what it will be in the end is like that you either use it for yourself, you just set it up and use it for yourself, or on the other side, if it's some service you kind of pay for it to use, I think that service has very much interest there to not just hosting or forwarding a dark market or something. So either it will get into trouble. So I think it's possible to probe those things and see if this is just an LND that an LND API that is forwarded here, or if there's really serving a web page or something. So it can be different on that one. So yeah, I think basically you can do this. I think people could have done it before. It's not a new trick that we pulled out here, but there is some implications here. Not every hidden service will be using this, but I think for Lightning nodes, that they are in an area where this can make sense.
So if I can just comment on that, it is, so yes, so this is to expose APIs most of all, and not, for example, to use for like BTC Pay server to run it behind Tor and then expose it to an IP address anonymously. I would just say what the host4coins.net website has as a policy, that they say if you receive any abuse report, your server will be immediately suspended and the complaint transferred to you if you provided a valid email address. And if the issues are not fixed in 48 hours, it will be terminated and no refund. So, you know, they need to kind of somehow protect the service provider themselves to stop you abusing this kind of service, to use their VPS as an exit node, basically. But if we kind of take this and just keep it to the APIs, like the LND RPC or gRPC or REST, then this shouldn't be an issue at all.
Right, okay, thanks for answers.
All right, who do we got?
Yeah, I can check the list further what we have. So yeah, there's still one challenge we had on the list. This was more kind of a wish list from Fulmo, because there's still up for grabs. So if somebody wants to work on this even after this Hacksprint, we would be very, very happy. This is the Wiki Lightning spam protection. So somebody made a prototype where you can add something to a media wiki, like we used for the hackathon or for the Hacksprint, so that when you edit a page, that you have to pay a little Satoshi to protect against spam, so that somebody's not completely editing your wiki and is not paying nothing. So, and to turn this into a real media wiki extension would be very, very nice. We could have used this quite nice during this Hacksprint, because we had some people were kind of a little bit playing with our wiki, let's call it that way. And so yeah, something like that could be very, very nice for the future. So if somebody still has some time to kill in the next kind of days, please grab this challenge. There's also a bounty attached to this still to claim. So at least to let everybody know, that would be awesome. Then we had the people working on the Exchange Union OpenDex. Is somebody here in the room? Just have to ask, because I didn't heard a report from that project back. So maybe somebody was not available because of family situation or something. So would be nice to if somebody is somebody there? No. Okay. So let's jump over to the next one, the Rust Lightning network implementation. Somebody here from that project in the room likes to give us a little bit.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Hello. Hi.
Hey.
Do you hear me?
Oh yeah, we hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. Well, it became quite dark here when we started. It was quite light, so I hadn't chance to turn the lights on. Anyway, we basically, with this, we have an ongoing effort. We name it LNPBP, standards, an effort to enable layer 2 and layer 3 applications to happen. Actually, I will even probably share my screen just to make it will be more informative to do that. There is a lot of new exciting stuff happening with the new protocol developers, and a lot of buzz about such things like channel factories. Guys from ShortBits, they are doing, and René Picard, they are doing with discrete log contracts with attempts to bring them on Lightning Network. There are this RGB and Spectrum project that I'm working on mostly for the past time. It's basically assets or identity or even more complex smart contracts on Lightning Network. And an idea related to that is a high-frequency micropayment. So you can just, with a zero signatures, with zero load on the client-server side, you can stream the payments on sub-Satoshi levels. And there are other proposals like Storm Prometheus regarding the storage and messaging over the Lightning Network, regarding the high-load computing. So a lot of new applications and new layers appearing. And Lightning Network evolutionized by itself. So we will have Schnorr signatures at Taproot, hopefully this year. There is another proposal from SureBit guys, and Zemin is payment points to replace HTLC, which are more reliable, and L2 probably will happen someday. So Lightning Network changes, and a lot of stuff is being developed on that. However, the actual software that we have, it's, well, for sure you can feed this functionality into what you have today, but it would be good to have something for the developers of these technologies to play with and to experiment with. We need Lightning nodes to be able to support multiple channels, and most of them are limited in their architecture that it's impossible just to simply stick to that without big refactoring. We need to abstract on commitment and funding transaction structure. Many of these projects, they need to add additional outputs to commitment transactions, or structure funding transaction in a different way, or do channel splits and other stuff. And actually, what we have with the existing Lightning nodes is that the structure of these transactions are hard-coded. It's embedded into the code, and it's very hard to modify it without changing a lot of actual code. And we need to modularize such mechanics like escrow and penalty mechanisms with the HTLC being able to replace, and better separate networking layers. Maybe some of you have listened to my presentation, my talk on the Lightning conference, where I was explaining why the layer separation in Lightning Network is really, really important, proper layer separation. So with this ongoing effort on standardization process for 2 and 3 layered applications, we brought this challenge to Hackathon. There is already a library, Rust Lightning library, developed by Matt Coralla, and now when he moved to Square Crypto, they are transforming it into Lightning Developer Kit. It is written in Rust, and the idea was to take this library and to take other developments that we had made for multi-threaded server infrastructure that we used for creating a new Bitcoin blockchain indexing server, working with Miniscript. So to take them together and create a new Rust Lightning node, which will be a modern one, microservice basis, scalable up to enterprise environments with Dockerization and all that stuff, able to process a high load with a zero message queue API instead of JSON RPC, and do a push-based notifications, support of non-custodial wallets without them requiring to install and to run the Lightning node locally on mobile, but that to communicate it through the push-based mechanics. Separation of layers for peer connections and channels. So we might have multi-peer channels or multiple channels per peer, and extensible with the new functionality. So you can easily stack new transactions output and everything like that. One of the best examples regarding the architecture on the market is C-Lighting. They've done their node as a multiple processes, multiple daemons communicating with each other. But our analysis had shown that we probably had to go even farther than that. So here we, before the hackathon, we drafted what processes do we need to have, how we need to separate them, how do we need to build communications across them. And throughout the hackathon, we worked a lot on this architecture. Basically, we ended up that the Lightning node will consist of multiple processes, even probably in different Docker instances, synchronized through the zero message queue bus. And at the end of the hackathon, what we actually have created, we have created the core of the Lightning node with this all complex multi-thread non-blocking API architecture and zero message queue. We have abstracted layers related for transport and messaging, Bolt 8 and Bolt 1, from the Rust Lightning library in 2 modules. Because with the Lightning Network, you probably know it's a set of protocols, and you can do really interesting things like Bolt 8, it defines an encryption, generic encryption protocol. It can be not specific to Lightning Network. It uses these Lightning node IDs, which are public keys. And with this protocol, you can transfer arbitrary data, and you can use these protocols outside of Lightning channels to build your own P2P communication in your software. So abstracting this layer was really important. Unfortunately, nobody abstracted it yet, and it was embedded deeply into the libraries and existing software. And the next thing is that we had to abstract the peer messaging. Before the creation of channel, Lightning node can exchange messages, and this set of messages can be extended with the new message types. And again, it was very much interacted and embedded into the channel management. However, its functionality can be utilized, so the Lightning node can agree additional parameters or create a multi-peer channels and that stuff. So that was required for that, and we abstracted that into another piece, another module within this library on GitHub. And so at the end of the day, right now, we have a peer daemon able to run P2P remote node communications. We are still putting the pieces together of these different parts. They are all already can be compiled and played with, but now we are sticking all them to each other through this through libraries and zero message queue. And that's why I hope we will move forward together. We had a big support from Matt Coralla and Chain Code Lab guys. They actually very open to communications, and we will also have a call with them tomorrow. And Christian Decker, he also, with the time, he has proposed many ideas to this multi-thread architecture and improvements of the Lightning protocol. So we will continue to develop this node and support developers who would be planning to work on that and join this project. And hopefully over some time we will have this new shiny Lightning node ready for all layer 2 and layer 3 beautiful apps.
That is huge. I mean, I can't even describe it any differently than that. Max, thank you so much for presenting that. That is absolutely
Thanks.
incredible. I know that there are a lot of people waiting for channel factories to actually be able to build on them, you know. So I actually did an interview with a gentleman named Pete Wynn, and he's kind of floating an idea called Lockbox, but it can't exist without channel factories. So this is really cool stuff. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's not only code, it's also standards and adoption. But anyway, the node will be a step to forcing this happening, I hope. Thanks.
Very cool, man. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we see who else we can find on the list. Quick question from Get Route Veer. Somebody here? Because I hadn't seen or got a feedback.
Yeah. Hi. I'm here, but there is another person, Stefan, who would like to speak next because his battery is running out. So I'll let him speak first, and then I can join.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for stepping back. So can you hear me?
Oh yeah, we can hear you very well.
That's great. Awesome. So yeah, I just want to say a few short words on WeNode, my project. It used to be called CheapNode. It's just the idea of running full Bitcoin nodes and Lightning nodes and like stuff like personal server and all these little gadgets that you have on a Raspberry Blitz, for example, on old mobile phones, old Android phones. The cheapest nodes that are available, in my opinion, might be broken even, might have a broken display, whatever. Just use these little things as servers. And I wrote up some scripts to help install these for a while ago, but I hadn't tested it because my setup just worked. And I wanted to get some people to test these. Unfortunately, nobody got interested. So, but at least I had an excuse to do it myself and set it up on another phone, and smoothed out quite some wrinkles. And I hope it'll work now. So it's published now, and you can go and try to revive your old mobile phones and give them a second life as full node and a Lightning node. Yeah, I'll share the link. Thanks.
Cool, thank you. That sounds awesome. All right, who would like to go next?
Yeah, hi. Can I go next? I was the guy with the GetRoute Via project.
Very cool. I'm sorry. What was the project? What's the project called?
It's GetRoute Via. It's like get route for getting routes, but via some determined node. So basically, this is just a small, very small project for me to get more accustomed to the plugin system. And this is the idea that originated from my research, which I had done with René Picard and other collaborators, which I talked about yesterday, the probing channels for Lightning Network. So one of the challenges that we had there was to make our routes go through specific nodes that we chose. So I decided to kind of separate this functionality, and it works in some kind of very basic implementation. So if I just call it with a parameter, specifying which node I want my route to go through, then it in the backstage it goes like something along the lines of breadth first search, and it excludes the channels until the usual get route functionality from C-Lightning actually outputs the channel that satisfies this requirement. And of course, it's not only possible to specify the node, it's possible also to add some code to test some other requirements that a node might specify. And in the end, I would like to see a plugin that lets me specify precisely what I want from my route. For example, like I also did some kind of very stupid idea just to test it out. If I don't want the IDs of the nodes in my route to end in even numbers, I only want odd numbers for whatever reason, then I can also do that. It's kind of stupid, but just to illustrate the idea. So the code is on GitHub, and if anyone is interested, then you can join, you can submit ideas, or I don't know, contribute just a small project, which I hope may be of use to someone. And also, I would like to make a quick update on my yesterday's talk. So yesterday, I was doing a talk about probing the balances in the Lightning Network, and we showed that it is actually possible to do, and with rather high precision and low cost, an attacker can determine where the balance is inside the channel. And we were talking about this interesting trade-off between privacy and efficiency of routing. And the thing that I forgot to mention, and I should definitely mention that, is that the idea of René Picard, who is one of the collaborators on this project, about just-in-time routing may help here. So if I'm trying to probe some route, and in just-in-time routing, some intermediary node can rebalance its own channels before it forwards payments further. So if some payment is going through me, I understand I don't have enough capacity, but instead of returning the error and letting the attacker derive some conclusions based on this error, I first adjust my own channels, and then I perform a payment if it can go through after all. So this is kind of a countermeasure that I think it's important to mention as well. And René also says hello to all the participants. Unfortunately, he isn't able to participate in this event, but warm greetings from him to everyone. So that's all for me, basically.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much. I mean, that is really amazing. I can tell you that is one of the main questions that I get about Lightning is, can I specify my route? You know, like, can I just choose, you know, which way I go? And that is definitely something something neat. So I'm definitely excited to see the development come from that.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks everybody for organizing this, for joining this event. I'm happy to be part of it, and I hope we'll see more online events and sometime more offline events as well as soon as it is possible. Cheers.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the next one on the list I have here on the wiki is the backup plugin for C-Lightning. Anybody here in the room?
Hey. Yes. Hey, so yeah, I'm Michael, and we are working on that with Christian Decker. So we are developing the plugin for C-Lightning for making the synchronous backups. So to backup the database on every write to the C-Lightning database. And the initial version of plugin which Christian wrote is a file backup, and we also developed. There is also a possibility to backup it on Dropbox, and we have a plan to have the other cloud storages as well. And what I did is encrypting with PGP the backup if the cloud storage of any kind is used. So far, it's Dropbox. And you can find it on GitHub. There are 2 links on the wiki. You can just go there. It's pure C-Lightning plugin, so we didn't modify anything in C-Lightning itself. Yeah, you can just go to our pull request and check it out. It works. And yeah, we hope that it will get soon as the official plugin. And yeah, that's it.
I really I think that's something. I know that you know, I know that there's a lot of backup stuff that goes on in the background with you know, with the nodes and whatnot, but it is really I think something from the end user perspective to be able to, you know, go in and you know, manually be able to do this themselves and see it themselves and see it as an easy process. So we really appreciate you working on the backup aspect, because obviously this deals with money and value, and nobody wants to lose it.
Yes, and yeah, that's that part for using PGP encryption is like very generous with anyone who wants to implement any other backend for, I don't know, Google Drive or like any other storage like AWS or something. Yeah, it will be quite easy to reuse the PGP encryption part to like backup your money, but don't let anyone to look at it.
Yeah, always keep your money encrypted. That's good. So the perfect. Thank you. You have on the list the low bandwidth Lightning channels. Is somebody in the chat room here? Somebody? Hello. Okay, because I don't have a outcome report here. So as far as I got it, it's the idea of if even managing a Lightning channel through very low band setups, even about at least it's saying about managing through SMS, for example, even. So that's very interesting, using it with setups like Gotenna or Docker Mesh setups. So would be interesting to get a follow up on that. So if somebody's rewatching from the project this recording, please still put something in the wiki. That would be great to know where you went through the Hacksprint. Then we have the Bitcoin router. So somebody from the Bitcoin router project is here who likes to let us know what you were working on.
Hey, yeah, that's me. And also Candle is here as well. He was helping us out with the GUI. So let me just get my so let me just get a screen share up. Okay, so it was a very simple premise. What the challenge was, could we get an open source router called the Tourist Mox to run Bitcoin Lightning services? So this was an exploration project. Yeah, Candle's got here the visuals up right now. So this is a product that comes out of the Czech Republic. It's an open source router. They've been around for like, I think 10 years or so. They came out with an open source router called the Omnia some time ago. And then more recently, they did a crowdfund for the Tourist Mox. I can also show you here like just what it looks like on my screen as well. And basically, it's just a little PCB, and you can plug in. What's really good about it is it's super extensible and modular. So they have these other add-ons so that you can expand on it. I think that the Tourist Mox doesn't have a modem for broadband built in, but it has a 4G modem that you can get as an extension. So the evil master plan was, could we come up with a proof of concept to show that the tourists could actually run some Bitcoin services out of the box, even though it doesn't have a super powerful router, just so that we could get like a proof of concept over, but then also with a view longer term to perhaps actually making our own custom PCB that would be able to run the Bitcoin router. And really the business case for this is quite straightforward. The assumption is that a lot of regular users, a lot of pragmatists out there that aren't super into Bitcoin would not necessarily adopt a Bitcoin and certainly not get into full nodes unless it came part and parcel of an existing product that they use in their everyday lives. And earlier on, I was on World Crypto Network, and somebody raised a very good point, which is that routers are rather like fridges in your home. They're just utilities, things that run in the background. And I would really like to get to what I call a post-crypto world, where we don't just focus on Bitcoin all of the time. We don't just make it front and center, but we rather see it as part of the landscape of our world. That we just take it for granted, that it becomes a fait accompli, and we can just talk about it like we're sort of past it. So what that means for this project is that, of course, like looking at the outcomes, like Tor hidden servers should be by default. People should be able to choose their own VPN. The Tourist Mox actually allows you to run an open VPN server, for example. One of the big challenges we actually had and made us realize early on in this project was just how difficult it was to get something like this running, because a lot of standard home routers don't allow you to punch through the NAT, right? The port forwarding is an immediate barrier. And so we were able to get around that with Tor for a while, but then I had to sort of get on my bike and go around and try to find someone who had root level access. So this is really the idea, and we'd really appeal to anybody. Just for Candle can show some of the visuals. Anybody has experience with building hardware can give us some indication of the work that would be required and the money to be required to produce our own custom PCB. That would be really appreciated. So I know, Candle, you want to show off what your vision is for the panel, for the
let me talk a little bit about that. Yeah, so as Chris was already saying, we were like playing around with the hardware, which is also, by the way, an open source hardware project. And we thought about how we could integrate Bitcoin, Lightning, and Bitcoin related services like Electrum, Join Market, and so on together. And here I just brought up some dummy-like demo how one could imagine it to be, because our goal is to make it as easy as possible to like set it up, like plug and play, get it rolling without having this hurdle of going into the terminal or stuff like that. So, and yeah, this is just a small representation of how it could look in the end and to get a start.
Cool, thank you. So any questions?
Yeah, I'm just thinking of how much it would cost to actually build that initial board. Sorry, I stopped. I was there when you mentioned that, and I just stopped there. I was like, how much would it cost to make that board? I don't think it's. Yeah, I think it's
not
totally.
cheap. It's not cheap.
No, well, definitely not for a small number to start. But I know the company I work for manufacture. Well, now we, now we send them out, but we used to manufacture our own boards. Yeah, it's pretty expensive. Just the heat chambers alone are like $200,000 just to test that aspect of it. So, anyways,
wow, yeah.
But that's worth it. I totally agree with the way.
But you can get there's plenty of services if you do a board design and you can get them prefabbed out. There's a whole bunch of services for that on which and you can get custom boards made pretty cheap. And if you're willing to attach a bunch of components yourself, then just print the boards and then you get them. Rather than fabricate the whole board yourself, that's going to be expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, people are. The link to our Mattermost is on the wiki as well, so everyone's welcome to come in and say hi. And any ideas like that, I'd be totally up for that. I actually need to get more into hardware, so I'd be really up for learning stuff.
I have to add to this that I still have to enable the signing in feature, or otherwise we need to exchange in the wiki the link with an invitation code for the Mattermost.
Okay, cool.
I just want to add that I absolutely love the philosophy about making it part of the landscape. I think that's very important because just like the internet, right? Obviously Bitcoin is the internet of money. Well, this is part of one of those steps of making that actually happen.
Yeah, and I think the public is ready for that. Like 5 years ago, I used to go into bars and restaurants, and when I went to pay, I would always do this little joke where I get out my phone and be like, can I pay in Bitcoin? Like, I'm ready to pay. And people used to say stuff like, no, not yet. And I think there's always been this sort of pregnancy that people have had in their minds. It's not quite there yet. I'm not ready to get into it yet. But I think a lot of pragmatists do kind of see it as inevitable. And if we as a community can present this as a fait accompli, I don't think it needs to get mass adoption. I'm not talking about getting your mum to use it or any of those cliches. I'm just saying, like, if it can just become part of that landscape of products in our environment already, if it's already on your router and it comes with, I think that really signals that it's already here. Like, we could just move on and we don't have to treat it like it's the special thing.
I love that. That is fantastic.
Cool. Well, thanks very much for letting us present.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much. So from the hardware now, I think we try to make a detour into gaming. So we had 2 game projects. I think there's somebody here from Light Night, just to ask. Haven't checked completely the list. So if so, now is the chance. Okay, but there's definitely the issue list there. So people that even want to check it out and want to get feedback on the Light Night project, check out the issue list on the wiki. So then we have the Bitcoin bounty hunt. Is somebody from the project here? Okay, can you report?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I would.
All right, I'm going to share my screen.
Perfect.
So we are building a Lightning-based, Bitcoin-based multiplayer shooter. And we used the weekend to basically show the game off to more people and to find some bugs. And we found a pretty substantial bug. So one user today earned about 2 million Satoshis. So fuck that. Because the cool thing of our game is the game runs a LND neutrino node alongside it. So every fund that this user earned, it's basically his, and we cannot change anything there. A little bit about our game. So it's, like I said, an online multiplayer shooter. The goal is to collect these cubes, which are bounty cubes or Satoshi cubes. And when I collect it, you can see on the right, my bounty number increases. If I die, I will drop some of my bounties. So the goal is to kill other players to collect their bounty. The bounty gets converted to like real Satoshi at the end of the round and also during the round. So that's basically the gist of it. So there's this player. I now try to kill him. Let's see how that works out. So I'm running a shotgun and I kill him and now collect this. Now I can collect this cube. Now the big question is, how does the money get into the game? Because it would be pretty stupid to just pay it from our purses, because as I said, 2 million was earned today. Right now, the earnings are along the scale of 1K. Okay, so now the round ended. So the money comes in via advertisement. So as you can see, here's this Bitcoin logo, or here's a Nix Bitcoin logo. And it works via our super rudimentary page, where basically you can create yourself as an advertiser to basically be in the game. Another feature we, for example, have is that you can increase the bounty of players per demand. So if I increase my own bounty, give me 1 second to pay for this.
I'm totally fascinated. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but how much do you charge to advertise in the game?
Right now, it's just 1K so that your image shows, so that you're activated as an advertiser, because we also do like manually have to approve advertisers, right? We don't want to have basically not cool stuff in there. So we approve you, it costs you 1K sats, and then every sat you add to yourself, we have like this balance type player sats, so you can just increase your player sats and they will get like distributed to the players. So right now it's basically free, I would say, to advertise. And also it's hard to think of it as advertising or as showing like what you want to show. I don't know how many people look at the banners while playing, but basically what you're doing is buying goodwill, right?
Yeah, but it's still amazing. It's absolutely genius. You're just, I mean, it's real estate in front of the person's face in one of the most personal settings that they have.
Yeah,
that is, I mean, that is fantastic.
Yeah, so the cool thing is, as I said, that the game basically runs a LND neutrino node alongside it. And what we do is, so here I have like my balance. So I have 15K balance on my local LND daemon. And because we do not want to use custodial wallets, because the law for it is pretty weird in Germany. So we're thinking, okay, can we improve the UX of a neutrino LND wallet? And basically what we do is we have a custodial wallet until you have enough Satoshis to pay for a channel, at which point we will basically open a channel to you, is what we're doing. So our game basically just, we're looking at new features of Lightning and just try to implement them as a game, basically, is what we're doing. Yeah, and after this wrap-up is done, I will stream the game a little bit on Twitch. If you want to join, I have a lot of Steam keys I can hand out. The game is going to be free. We want to release before halving would be our goal. Yeah. And you can basically play right now. Sometimes there are no Satoshis on the server because no one's advertising, but yeah, just send me a message and I can send any one of you a Steam key. It runs on Mac OS and Windows.
Can you provide a link to the to your current website right now so I could put that in the show notes?
Yeah, we have like, so this is, as I said, we're not front-end developers, so this is our this Bounty website, and there's just then donnerlab.com, and also I think the Mattermost chat channel would be nice because there you can easily contact me if you want to have a key. So these 3 things should be fine.
Okay, perfect.
Are there some questions from the YouTube live stream?
Looks good so far. I think, yeah, I think you have to check later out the chat that was running on the live stream because it's a little bit hard to monitor at the moment. Yeah, well, good. Thank you for the overview. Before we get to the last project, I think Kim is now in the chat from working on the Spectre desktop. You had some entries because before now you're available. Yeah, feel free to give us some short report or some short additions to what I was showing for.
Yeah, exactly. So there's one thing about the Tor service where I'm working there on a front end, which would be able to that people can sign up like a multi-user web application. Then they can set up their tunnel and eventually can pay via Lightning. So if anyone is interested to help me out with that as well, so it's pretty much done. I copied it from some older project, and maybe that's something which I will set up the next week as a public service, and maybe there are people also who would like to help with maintaining and developing that further as a service. But apart from that, I want to say some words about the Spectre project, which now is part of the Raspberry Blitz with 1.5. So we're very proud to be part of that. And I just want to say some words about the Spectre project. So Spectre project is two things. On the one hand side, it's a hardware wallet, mainly from the brain of Stepan Snigirev, and it's built out of standardized industrial components, so which you can buy off the shelf and then build it together for yourself. So that it's using only QR codes. So here you can see one of these things which you can build together. He's also currently having a version where you don't have to solder, because in that case you have to solder, because the main component is this here on top, which is a touchscreen enabled, kind of phone-like device, but which doesn't have any Bluetooth, no network devices, so that you can access it only via QR code. So you're scanning the QR code here, and you're then, on the other hand, if you want to push information from the Spectre desktop to the Spectre DIY, you're scanning it with the QR code reader. So that's Spectre DIY, and what's now part of Raspberry Blitz is the Spectre Desktop, which is a web application where you can connect your hardware wallet, first of all, for sure, the Spectre DIY, but also mainly all other hardware wallets. I guess I'm not sure about the Bitbox 2, but I guess almost all of the other ones. So I tested personally the Trezor. Ben Kaufman today tested the Ledger. It's working. The Cold Card is working. We tested it not with Raspberry Blitz, but the chances are almost 100% that it will work there as well. And and I think there are two others which I forgot the name of, but you can use almost all hardware wallets, and you can use them now with your own node, so that you can use them as a single wallet, and you can also use them as a multi-signature wallet, where you're using X out of Epsilon multi-signature setup, where you're then registering your hardware wallets into Spectre Desktop and creating a multi-signature wallet out of them. Yeah, and that's what I wanted to say about the Spectre Desktop. There's also a support channel in Telegram, which you can visit anytime if you have any kind of trouble with Spectre Desktop or Spectre DIY. So you can find it in the GitHub Crypto Advanced space. I will post the link in the chat, and also maybe we can put it into the show notes. That's it. Thank you for letting us present.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm sorry, I do have one question, though. I may have missed it at the beginning. What is the microcontroller that you're using for the DIY?
That's a discovery board. I'm not sure. It's a developer discovery board. I don't think it's a famous brand. Okay. We have a shopping list in the Spectre DIY GitHub repository, where you can buy it at Mouser, and it's about $50, and the QR code reader is about $20. So all in all, you come up with something like $80, $90 or something like that.
Okay, very cool. I am definitely building this. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
All right. So thank you. The next, or maybe the last one on this, I think, is the point time locked contracts, the PTLCs. And I read a lot about poodles there. So please let us know what it's all about. I like dogs. I really like dogs.
Sure thing. So this weekend we've been working on implementing PTLCs to replace HTLCs, and PTLC stands for Point Time Lock Contract. So essentially, rather than using hashes and hash locks to make transactions atomic over the Lightning Network, we want to move to using points. There are lots of reasons for doing this. The main one is that points you can add together, whereas hashes you can't. And so what this lets us do is it lets us decorrelate payments along a route. So if you have a payment route right now on today's Lightning Network, every single hop uses the same hash to make things atomic, but this is really bad for privacy. And there's some fee stealing attacks and some other things that this allows for. And so in the future, we want to move to using point time lock contracts, which allow us to add a random tweak at every hop so that nobody can tell when they are on the same route as anyone else. And this is a problem that's made especially bad when using MPPs and things like this, where you get a ton of routing information based off of these payment hashes. And it turns out that not only do you get payment decorrelation by using points, but it also enables a ton of other applications. You can do a bunch of contracts using points, which are really the ands and ors of a bunch of other points. So you can have kind of these monotonic or multi-sig-like access structures on these points. So for example, say Alice pays Bob contingent on either Alice agreeing to this payment or some third party like escrow agreeing that, say, Bob mowed Alice's lawn or something like this. And not only that, but you can also do atomic multi-payment setup. So you can set up these payments, which now these points allow you to enforce somewhat complicated contracts. And now you can set up a bunch of them in different directions at the same time. And not only that, but you can also transfer and update them. I've written a ton on this, but what we actually worked on this weekend was implementing just kind of this base level point time lock contracts. So the reason we haven't had this in the past is because we need adapter signatures, which we will be getting with Schnorr. But Lloyd Fournier, I think is his last name, has proposed a way of doing this on ECDSA without too much fancy ZKP hackery. And so this weekend, Nickler, Jonas Nick, spent the weekend implementing this POODLE, or proof of discrete log equality, also known as the DLEQ, DLEQ proof in the literature, in libsecp, which is the one fancy part you need in order to make this work in ECDSA. And then on top of that, he implemented the tweaking for the actual adapter signatures. And then me and Ben Carmen and Rorp and a couple other people over at the SuredBits team worked on implementing in Bitcoin S, the open source Scala library, some actual a client for constructing point time locked contracts, and even have a GUI on top of that. We are almost done. We just are working right now on getting the C library to communicate with the Java library. So I don't have an actual live demo for you right now, but I'm hoping to tweet out or post out or probably put on the wiki as well some link to a video of a working PTLC or pay for point essentially contract sometime later today or later this week if things go really poorly.
Thank you very much. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
My name's Nadav, handles
cool.
and Cohen. Yeah. And if you want to hear more about PTLCs, I recently was on the Chain Code podcast. So I talked about them there as well.
Okay, that is absolutely fantastic. This is the first time I've ever heard of PTLC, so this is, for me, totally new. Do you also have a Git that you could share that we could put in the show notes?
GitHub, yeah, like a pull request
or just anything to explain the whole concept for the listeners.
In that case, I have a whole blog post series here. I'll put that in the comments. Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah, perfect. So I can also just say we have on wiki.fulmo.org you find a list also of all the projects. With short descriptions what they were doing over the Hacksprint, and also I think there should be the links then for deep search. But also I hope on the show notes here from the podcast you will also find a lot of resources now. Okay, let's check the list again. I think there was the RTL I had on the list. It was kind of late entry issues. I'm not exactly sure if they were worked on, but Suhaib, are you on there?
Yeah, I'm here. But there was no. I mean, unfortunately, I think it was a late entry, so didn't see any action per se. But the issues are there. So if anybody's interested in contributing, we can discuss. If you want to discuss it from a UX perspective, product perspective, we can discuss, and then we can hopefully invite some contribution.
Perfect. So this is exactly the thing. Like there's, I think not all challenges that were marked in the GitHubs were kind of worked on, because we wanted to present a selection and see what people kind of is working for with the people on the weekend. So it feels absolutely free to just check out still the wiki.fulmo.org to check out the projects and see what issues they have marked in their GitHubs. I think every project loves it, even if you come a week late or whatever, and say, "Oh, sorry, I don't have time the weekend, but now I'm here and I like to work on it." I think everybody loves that and very, very appreciated for every help that is going on there. So far from my list, at least somebody I maybe have forgot. Sorry for anybody in the chat wants to step forward and give a contribution. At least that's the list I have on the wiki. Yeah.
I was gonna say I think that's it.
Okay, so we went through the web app.
Yeah. That is fantastic. All right, so are there any questions from anybody to anybody in this very large group?
All right, I think we're good.
All right, guys.
Jeff, can you?
I got a question. I got a question right there.
Sure, Ben.
There we are.
Cool.
So I heard we were chatting yesterday, and yeah, it's public because Elizabeth said it on our chat thing, so that's fine. I heard that there was the concept flying around about maybe having kind of a weekly event similar to this, or some sort of, I don't know, like people can work on their stuff in the week, and then we can all kind of get together at some maybe on a Sunday evening. And this the Mattermost, which we've had for the Hack Day or the Hacksprint, will continue to run, and we'll have some more meetups, kind of like a regular kind of meetup every week at some point. Any news on that, Christian?
Or Jeff, are you there?
Yeah, great point. I was going to say that. I think it's a good idea to do that, and I was talking to Elizabeth earlier, and also because when Oliver had his talk, he couldn't really record it, so he kind of wants to do it again on the record so people can watch it later. So we're thinking on doing like a regular weekly call where like you have one presentation and the community can get together, maybe similar to this one, every Sunday night, Berlin time at 8, which is also a good time for the for the American East Coast and even the West Coast to tune in. So that's kind of the geographic areas we can cover that. Yeah, and I hope we can do it next Sunday already. So the plan for now is that we're going to have Oliver Gugger on again, who's going to talk about LSAT. He did a presentation yesterday, but as I just said, there's no recording, and we'll post the link and set up a live stream. Try to find a proper way on doing this, because we did a lot of stuff on Jitsi, but it's not really for mass hangouts. So we're still looking for a better alternative. But that's the idea so far. And for other events, I think it feels like we could do this again in a couple of weeks and maybe make this a regular thing as long as people have to stay at home.
Yeah, makes sense. Fantastic. Thank you, Jeff.
Well, thank you, Ben, once again for doing the live streams, and also Josh. I was glued, all my eyes were glued to my speakers for 5-6 hours every day, just listening to you.
He messaged me this morning and he was like, "Oh yeah, man, I might be able to pop on for half an hour." He's there for 4.5 hours. It's great. But I mean, it's just it was a real pleasure to speak to some of those people. So yeah, absolutely fantastic.
All right. So yeah, also thank you from my side to everybody. So it was really a pleasure to putting all these projects together. Again, you can use the MetaMost still after this Hacksprint now, but don't forget, not everybody's checking the MetaMost regularly. So if you want to contact persons, I think the GitHubs and the Twitter links that you will find are the best way to contact the people from the projects. Yeah, thank you again. Maybe we will look into this in a few weeks. We will call out for another Hacksprint. So it would be great to see all of you again. And Cornicorus, thank you really for giving us the hosting platform here, and looking forward to hear this on your podcast. So give us a little bit kind of closure here. Where will this published again? Where will you spread this one, these messages?
Oh, thank you guys. I definitely got to thank you guys because you're the ones that are actually building. So I really appreciate it. It's going to, you can definitely check all things for my podcast on funwithbitcoin.com. And that's where it's going to be posted. That's the main site, but it obviously also ends up on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts and Anchor, and at least five other platforms. I'm most likely I'm debating. I might publish it this week coming up, or I might publish it in order of the podcast that I've done, which would put it in about 3 weeks from now. So I don't know. It all depends. But I'll definitely. That's why I wanted to get everybody's Twitter handles, because I wanted to include everybody I could when I tweet it out.
Perfect. I think we also will have the recording to rewatch of the live stream. So just for people that want to have a quick recap, but also looking forward to the podcast. And yeah, so from my side, I think this was the wrap up. Thank you very much. and hope to see you all back soon again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Take care.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.